Discover the incredible secret, the poor carpenter, unexpectedly a handsome billionaire, revealed. Jake woke with the sun, its golden rays creeping through the dusty window of his shop. The scent of fresh sawdust filled his lungs as he stood, a calloused hand brushing against the wood he'd transformed into something beautiful. At 32, he was no stranger to hard work, his muscles ached with every stroke of the chisel. Yet amidst the rhythm of the tools and the creak of the floor, there lingered another sound, the weight of family expectations. His father, a proud war veteran, now lay buried, leaving behind a mound of debt and two women, Jake's mother and younger sister, who dreamed of a life they could not afford. "Are you coming to the crafts fair today, Jake?" His mother's voice trembled slightly, full of hope, a mix of worry and longing in the air. He wanted to tell her everything would be all right, that the quick-rising tensions in Maplewood wouldn't drown them. But the town was changing. A wealthy developer was poised to pave over every beloved local shop, replacing them with upscale condos. People were scared, unsure how they'd survive. Last year, Jake unveiled a beautifully handcrafted dining table at the very same fair, each curve a labor of love. Yet today, there was an ache deep within him. The pressure of his family's dreams lay heavy on his shoulders. What if those dreams fell apart under the weight of his emerging importance? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he worked on a chair at his bench, a flicker of inspiration struck. What if he put his heart into these pieces, not just for his family, but for the community? Just as he polished the armrest to perfection, an old box hidden under the floorboards caught his eye, a family secret. Inside lay papers revealing an inheritance from his grandfather, a successful entrepreneur. The future shimmered like sun on glass, bright, filled with possibility, but heavy with the unmistakable dread of wealth altering everything. At the crafts fair, supporters gathered. Before Jake knew it, his tables and chairs caught the attention of curious passers-by, excited whispers floating through the air. Yet, among the crowd, divided opinions gelled like oil and vinegar. Some cheered him on, while others shot skeptical glances. A common carpenter turning into a city slicker, they murmured. The fame began to be too much, almost a noose tightening around their family's modest roots. The pivotal moment crashed down at the town hall meeting, where the developer stood smugly contemplating the destruction of Maplewood's history. Jake's hands trembled as he stepped forward, heart racing. This was it. He took a deep breath, looked around at the familiar faces, his mother, sister, the townsfolk whom he'd grown up with, and poured out his soul. "We must stand up for our town," he declared. His words hung in the air, a raw honesty that seemed to resonate in the hearts of all present. As applause erupted like fireworks, Jake locked eyes with his mother. Her tear-streaked face was a chaotic tapestry of pride and fear. This crossroads was bittersweet, teetering between the weight of legacy and the light of newfound hope. What would he choose when the dust settled, wealth or community? Would he lose sight of who he truly was? The uncertainty loomed larger than ever, encapsulating him in a single moment of dizzying revelation, his heart beating wildly against the backdrop of a town's collective breath. The sun sank low in the sky, casting an amber glow over Maplewood as Jake stood outside the town hall, still buzzing from his speech. The applause replayed in his mind, fueling a sense of determination within him. But doubts crept back in like shadows, lingering just beyond the edge of his thoughts. The cheers had been overwhelming, they were a welcome embrace. But acceptance came with a cost, didn't it? His mother approached him, her hands twisting together, worry etched on her brow. "Jake, I'm proud of you. But what happens if this doesn't work out? What if the developer pushes through his plans anyway?" The murmurs of fate mingled with the town's twilight, sounding like a distant echo of all the dreams built on hope. He wanted to assure her everything would be okay. But deep down, he felt the weight of the responsibility. "I'll fight for us, Mom. I promise. Gathering his resolve, Jake headed towards the community center, where the fair was still in full swing. Familiar faces greeted him as people lined up to admire his work. He wanted to share his heart with them, to show how much their support meant, but the chatter of admiration felt layered over a tension he couldn't shake. The inequalities that wealth could breed, and the fear of losing his family's legacy, gnawed at him. "Hey, Jake!" Liam called out, a childhood friend, his face aglow with excitement. "Did you see the turnout? People are loving your furniture. You could sell out by the end of the night." Jake forced a smile. "Yeah, it's great." Liam raised an eyebrow, catching the weariness in Jake's tone. "You alright? You've got that look. Like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders." With a deep breath, Jake stepped aside, taking a moment to absorb the vibrant atmosphere. The laughter, the music, the scent of homemade pies mingling in the air, it all felt like a tight-knit family gathering. This place was his anchor. Just thinking about what's next. I guess. The fair was alive with energy, but Jake's heart was heavy with decisions. He needed to channel this momentum into something bigger. How could he turn the community's support into a force against the developer? A flicker of an idea sparked in his mind. "Liam, what if we organized a petition? Get everyone on board to show our resistance?" Liam's eyes lit up. "That could work. If we get the signatures and take it to the town meeting, it'll demonstrate how much we care." Emboldened by the prospect, Jake knew that he had the love of his family and friends, and that was worth more than any fortune. The promise of solidarity made the air crackle with possibility. They would rally together, fight for their town, protect each other, and the memories woven into every street and store. As he moved through the crowd, a feeling of unity enveloped him. A band of friends gathered around him, eyes bright with determination. The dream of Maplewood, before it was too late, rested firmly in their hands. Just as hope blossomed, however, a shadow flickered at the edge of his mind, a warning. Could wealth change him? Would winning this fight mean losing himself? As he prepared to address the growing crowd, his heart thundered in his chest. There was a truth he needed to reveal, a deeper connection to his grandfather's legacy that felt too enormous to unveil just yet. Tonight, he would take a stand for Maplewood, but as he took the mic, a new doubt teased at the edge of his resolve. Would the community still embrace him when they learned the truth about what his inheritance really meant? The crowd swelled with anticipation, their faces turned towards him, the soft hum of conversation fading into a hushed silence. Jake's hands trembled slightly on the microphone, and for a moment, he took in the familiar faces of neighbors and friends. The warmth of their support flooded him, even as the enormity of his next words loomed larger. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began, and the crowd responded with nods and murmurings of encouragement. "This community means the world to me. Maplewood is not just a place, it's home, and we must protect it together." Liam stood close, his face fierce with determination, a reminder that this was bigger than Jake's fears. He pushed on. "I know some of you have heard about the developer's plans. It might feel like we're fighting an uphill battle, but I believe in our strength. We can stand up for what we value." A voice from the crowd called out, "We're with you, Jake." And it ignited applause. But just as the cheers rose, a twinge of guilt pinched at Jake's heart. "I also have something else to share," he said, his voice cracking slightly. "Something about my grandfather and what it means for me." An uneasy shift rippled through the crowd. Jake felt the weight of their eyes. "I inherited his workshop and everything he built. But there's more. A legacy that ties me to the developer too." The whispers escalated around him, confusion intertwining with surprise. Could he talk about it? Did they even want to know? He pressed on, his breath coming quicker. "He left me not only the tools of his trade but an important choice. I could sell it all and take the easy path. Or I could use it to fight for our town." The atmosphere shifted. Jake's heart raced as he spoke, words tumbling out of him. "Just because I have this legacy doesn't mean I want to profit from it. I want to use it to empower our community, to build a future that honors our past." Another voice echoed from the back. Mrs. Harris, the elderly woman who ran the local cafe. Are you saying you want to just sell and leave us behind? No, Mrs. Harris, he replied earnestly. I want to keep our spirit alive. I want to preserve not just the buildings but the memories, our stories. Hope flickered in the crowd, but so did doubt. Jake noted the hesitant glances exchanged between neighbors. Would they see him as the symbol of something he was fighting against? With a thud of his heart, he pressed the mic closer, desperation threading his words. Tonight, I'm asking for your trust. Let us fight this together. Join me, and let us take a stand. Let us show the developer that Maplewood is worth more than a quick buck. Applause broke out again, but it was softer, tinged with uncertainty. Jake could sense the struggle. Was he truly the right leader for this cause? Each cheer felt like a challenge, echoing his own self-doubt. Around them, the festival continued, laughter and music rising against tensions, shadows lingering as hope battled fear. Jake stepped back, allowing the applause to wash over him, but inside, he felt a deep-rooted concern expanding. What if they found out about the other side of his inheritance? The money, the power, everything that could change him? As the cheers fell back into murmurings, the knot in his stomach twisted tighter. He scanned the faces in the crowd, searching for reassurances, but doubt lingered just beneath the surface of their smiles. Jake's next move would seal his fate. Could he tread the delicate line between preserving his community while embracing his unexpected legacy? And what would happen if his choices began to drive a wedge between him and the very people he sought to protect? Jake stepped off the stage, still feeling the heat of the spotlight on his back. Each step felt heavier, as if the gravitational weight of his decision was coiling around him. He caught Liam's eyes, a flash of concern there as he approached. You did great. They needed to hear that. Did they, though? Jake forced a smile, but it barely touched his eyes. What if all I did was confuse them more? Liam shook his head. You're doing the right thing. Just give it some time. But Jake didn't feel reassured. The moment felt fragile, like it could shatter into 1,000 pieces if he wasn't careful. The festival buzzed around him, laughter and music blending into a vibrant backdrop. But the voices felt distant, as if he stood underwater, peering up at a world he felt disconnected from. Jake wandered through the crowd, accepting polite smiles but not feeling their warmth. As he passed the food tents, he spotted Mrs. Harris again. Her hands were busy kneading dough for her famous pies, and she looked up, her eyes crinkling into a smile when she saw him. Jake! You need to try my new cherry pie, she exclaimed, wiping her flour-covered hands on her apron. Maybe later, Mrs. Harris, he responded, though the sudden thought of sweetness made his stomach churn. How are folks feeling? She leaned in closer, lowering her voice as if sharing a secret. They're worried, dear. They love you, but they don't quite know what to make of everything. You've got to be careful not to lose their trust. Her words hung in the air, prickling Jake's skin. I know. I just want to do the right thing. That's what they remember, Jake. You're trying to protect this town even when it gets tough. Just keep communicating. He nodded, but doubt nodded him. As he continued on, he couldn't help but overhear snippets of conversations, people whispering in corners, questions swirling. Was he one of them now, an outsider looking in? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, the laughter grew louder, yet Jake felt increasingly distant. He stopped by the old oak tree where he played as a child. His memories lingered here, climbing its branches, building dreams under its shade. The leaves rustled above, a soft reminder of his connection to this place. Suddenly, the weight of his choices pressed heavier. The tension from his earlier speech replayed in his mind. What if they didn't understand? What if they deemed him a traitor for holding on to his inheritance? Jake! Liam called, pulling Jake from his reverie. Look over there. Turning, Jake followed Liam's gaze and his heart dropped. At the edge of the festival, he saw a figure in a sharp suit, talking intently with one of the festival organizers. The developer. A sinking feeling settled in his stomach. Would this man make everything he said tonight feel pointless? What is he doing here? Jake mumbled, anger rising like heat. Let us go see, Liam urged, concern etched in his features. As they approached, the tension in the air thickened. Jake's pulse quickened. What would he say? Would he lay it all on the line, or keep his cards close to the vest? Caught in the middle, he took a deep breath. Would this be the moment where everything changed? Jake, Liam murmured, nudging him forward, it's time to show them the kind of leader you really want to be. Jake glanced at Liam, then back at the developer, who was scanning the crowd. This could spiral into conflict or clarity. Was he ready for either? With every beat, the rhythm of his resolve quickened. Let us do this, he said, determination igniting within him. As they stepped toward the confrontation, a striking reminder nagged at him. Could he truly pitch his vision against the polished confidence of a billionaire? And what secrets were still buried, waiting to be unearthed? Jake and Liam approached the developer, each step heavier than the last. The festival buzzed around them, but to Jake, it felt as if time had narrowed down to this single moment. The suited man turned, his gaze falling on them. There was an air of calculation about him, a practiced smile that felt too smooth. Jake, isn't it? The developer said, extending a hand. I've been wanting to meet you. Your speech tonight stirred quite the wave. Jake hesitated before shaking his hand, the grip firm yet devoid of warmth. Yeah, well, I wasn't aiming for waves. Just trying to keep my town together. The developer's smile widened, his eyes glinting under the festival lights. How noble. But you know progress often comes with some sacrifice. The old ways can hold you back, don't you think? Jake's stomach twisted at the implication. He could feel the eyes of nearby festival-goers drifting their way. Whispers hovered just beyond earshot, anticipation crackling in the air. Would they come to see him defend what little remained of their town? Or would they see him cower before a man who only saw profit? Progress isn't just about money, Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. It's about people. The families that have lived here for generations. They matter. The developer chuckled lightly, as if to humor a child. But think about what I propose: a new shopping complex. Jobs, opportunities. It revitalizes the area. Look at the bigger picture. He gestured to the festival. The festival is lovely, sure, but does it actually bring lasting growth? Jake felt the weight on his shoulders shift. His heart raced, and memories flooded in the laughter of kids playing, mothers baking in their homes, the pride in the town's stories. If he let the developer win now, what would this place become? And what will it cost in the end? Jake shot back, determination hardening his voice. This town isn't just a project to me. It's home. You're talking about bulldozing everything that makes it special for a quick profit. A crowd started gathering, drawn by the tension. Jake could see familiar faces. Mrs. Harris, the baker, stood with her arms crossed, worry etched on her brow. The words bubbled to his throat, and he fought the wave of fear that threatened to choke him. People will remember how we respond to this challenge, Liam whispered, standing steadfast by his side. You have to lead. Jake took a deep breath. People here have roots. You can't uproot them for shiny skyscrapers. Those roots have stories, traditions, love. If you push us, it won't just be contracts you break, it will be trust. The developer's expression hardened for a brief moment, the charm slipping. Trust is a risk in business, Jake. Sometimes it's worth taking for a brighter future. But if you're not with me, I assure you, the town will fall behind. You'll lose your chance to influence what happens next. His threat hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, eyes darting between Jake and the developer like witnesses at a duel. He could feel their hope resting on him, their trust teetering on a knife's edge. Maybe the town isn't the only thing at stake, Jake countered, heart pounding. Maybe it's also about standing up for what's right. Not just what's easy. It felt right to say it, to stand firm against this corporate giant. Yet uncertainty gnawed at him. Would his words resonate or fall flat? And what was he willing to sacrifice if it came down to it? The developer's mask cracked slightly, revealing a flicker of annoyance. Be careful, Jake. You may find that making enemies is a risk you can't afford. And losing everything I believe in? Jake shot back. As he stared down the man across from him, everything quieted around them. Sweat beaded at his brow, fear and adrenaline battling for dominance. The stakes had never felt higher. A voice broke through the tense silence, steady and clear. Jake, we believe in you, Mrs. Harris called out, and an echo of support surged through the crowd. The developer's eyes shifted rapidly as if searching for a way to regain control. You think this changes anything? You're naive. But Jake felt the fire within him grow. No, I'm not. I'm not backing down. And as the crowd rallied behind him, Jake knew this was just the beginning. The fight for his town had started, but would he be strong enough to keep it from slipping away? With the developer's gaze fixed on him, a new wave of fear washed over Jake. What would happen next? As the night deepened, an unseen threat lurked, waiting just beyond the glow of festival lights. Jake sensed it, palpable and chilling, as everything hung in the balance. Would he be able to uncover the developer's true motives, or was it already too late? The festival lights flickered above, casting playful shadows across the crowd. The noise of joyous laughter and the sweet melody of music felt distant to Jake. All he could focus on was the piercing gaze of the developer, who seemed to silently mock him with that insufferable grin. Did you know, the developer continued, leaning closer to Jake, that every great city starts with a vision? A vision that transforms the old into the new? This town could be the next shining jewel, but only if you stop clinging to its past. Jake steeled himself. He could feel the heartbeat of the town around him, a steady rhythm of shared history and emotion that pulsed in the faces of those gathered. This town is not an investment, it's a legacy, he fired back, grounding his words in truth. You see dollar signs, I see my neighbors' homes. Liam shifted beside him, eyes surveying the crowd, sensing the tension. Jake, he whispered urgently, remember why you're here. The town is watching. With a nod, Jake raised his chin. The developer's polished facade could not hide the layers of greed that clung beneath. Jake had to dig deeper, reach for the heart of the matter. What is your endgame? He asked, voice firm. You don't care about growth or jobs. You just want expansion and profit. We will never be pawns in your game. An unsettling stillness fell over the crowd, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Mrs. Harris stepped forward, her wise eyes reflecting both fear and hope. People like us built this place, and we will fight to protect it. Don't let him take our memories. The developer laughed, but it shook a little this time, revealing his irritation. You're all romanticizing the past. Trust me, you're not as invulnerable as you think. I have resources and connections, far beyond what you can imagine. In this world, strength lies in wealth. Jake clenched his fists, feeling the fervent energy of the crowd pressing him forward. And what about integrity? He shot back, heart racing. What about the soul of a community? You'll never own our spirit. That's something you can't buy. The developer's eyes darkened, and for a moment, the mask fell entirely. But he quickly regained his composure. Then let us see if those spirits can withstand what's coming. Some changes are inevitable. As those words filled the air, an unsettling chill wrapped around Jake. What kind of changes was the developer hinting at? The threat loomed larger, taking shape in the back of his mind. He glanced to the crowd, faces close with worry and support, but there was fear, too. Fear of the unknown, of losing everything to a nameless adversary. The festival lights dimmed momentarily as the power flickered. Gasps erupted from those nearby. But in that encroaching darkness, Jake felt a jolt. An idea sparked. We won't let fear divide us, he declared, loud enough to carry through the now hushed crowd. This is our home, and we will protect it together. When you're alone at the end of the day, you'll have only your riches. We'll have each other. As the lights buzzed back to life, a glimmer of something potent coursed through the crowd. The energy shifted, and Jake could feel a shared resolve building like a wave. They could fight this if they joined forces. But standing there, still locked in the developer's gaze, a prickle ran up his spine. Was this truly a fight worth facing alone? Or was there more he wasn't seeing yet? The developer's eyes darkened, a flash of something fierce and fleeting briefly revealing his true self. His smile faltered. You think unity will save you? We shall see. And when they turn, you'll understand the cost of defiance. With that, he turned, leaving Jake with a stomach full of dread and uncertainty. The crowd began to stir, and with Liam by his side, Jake's heart ticked faster. The fight was underway, but the true battle had yet to surface. What lay ahead? As the night deepened once more, Jake couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, as if shadows bore witness to the choices he had yet to make. Would they band together, or would fear fracture the bonds that held them? The sun dipped low, painting the sky with an orange blush, as the festival buzzed with life around them. Jake stood at the edge of the gathering, his heart pounding like a drum echoing through a quiet room. He could still see the developer's sinister grin etched on his mind. Shadows played tricks on him, their forms shifting like doubts creeping into a well-intentioned heart. Are you all right? Liam asked, his voice laced with concern. He shifted his weight, glancing at the departing figure of the developer. That was intense. Jake nodded but felt a swirl of unease within him. It's more than just words, he replied, scanning the crowd. Faces that had once lit up in laughter now morphed into expressions of worry. There's a storm brewing, and I can feel it. Liam frowned, his brows knitting together. What do you mean? Is it just the developer? I think it's bigger than that. He meant what he said about changes. I have this feeling. Jake hesitated, unsure if he should voice his fears. But the weight in his chest was heavy enough to spill. What if he really does have connections? What if he could turn some of our neighbors against us? Their eyes met in silence, the realization settling like a fog. They had fostered a sense of community, but when greed loomed, what would hold them together? A shout pulled Jake from his anxious reverie. A group of locals gathered near the old oak tree, their voices rising in fervor. Jake nudged Liam, and they pushed through the crowd to gather closer. Look, it's not just about one man. Mrs. Harris stood tall, her voice carrying over the chatter. It's about all of us. What are we willing to sacrifice for this town? Our homes, our memories. We have to unite. We can make our voices echo louder. People nodded, murmurs of agreement swelling. Yet, Jake sensed an undertow of doubt, an apprehension that wouldn't fade easily. Do we truly trust each other enough? Someone called from the back. What if we don't all want the same thing? The crowd fell quiet, heavy silence hanging thick in the air. Uncertainty was a powerful foe, stronger than anything the developer could wield. Jake found his voice. Fear is our enemy, not each other. We have lived, laughed, and grown together. This town has seen us through dark times. We are built on trust and memories. That's worth fighting for. His words reignited a spark. Hands began to clap, voices rose. Jake realized that he wasn't just fighting for a home, he was fighting for every single person standing before him. But the knot in his stomach tightened once more as he imagined what lay ahead. As if sensing his turmoil, Liam placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. You've got this, Jake. We'll all be here, together. No one stands alone. Jake breathed in deep, choosing to embrace the flicker of hope igniting within him. They streamed into the night, shadows shrinking away as laughter regained its place in the air. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling of something lurking in the darkness beyond the festival lights, an unseen danger, ready to unravel their strength. Just as he was about to dismiss the creeping fear, a sudden explosion of voices overwhelmed the revelry. Gasps and shouts erupted from the center of town. Jake's heart sank. Something had happened. As he and Liam rushed toward the chaos, Jake wondered if the real battle was just beginning. What had the developer set in motion? When they reached the crowd, a scene unfolded before them that could change everything. A man stood at the front of the crowd, his hands raised in a desperate plea for calm, but his face was pale, eyes wide with panic. Jake pushed through the throng, adrenaline surging. As he got closer, the man's voice finally cut through the din. "It's gone. The oak tree, someone's damaged it." Jake felt his heart drop. The old oak tree wasn't just a piece of nature, it was a cornerstone of their community, a witness to countless memories, a symbol of what they all stood for. He shouldered his way to the front, where he could see the tree, its branches bending precariously. A large section of its trunk had been hacked at, splintered wood showing jagged gaps that seemed to bleed sap. Who would do this? Liam's voice quivered beside him. His eyes darkened, scanning the faces around them. This isn't just vandalism. It's a message. A murmur rippled through the townsfolk. The weight of anxiety hung thick like fog. Jake turned to Liam, feeling the heat of determination ignite within him once more. "We can't let fear win. We need to fix this." Before Liam could respond, Mrs. Harris pushed through to them, her brow knitted tightly. "It's not safe. If someone's doing this, they're sending a clear warning to all of us. We need to call the police." "But what if they don't arrive in time?" Jake's head spun with thoughts. "We need to rally everyone, to protect our community, and to stand firm against threats not just from some developer but whoever is trying to tear us apart." A chorus of agreement followed. People began to cluster around them, voices growing stronger in their resolve. They formed a circle, hands clasped, each person tightening their grip as if anchoring themselves to one another. Liam was animated, standing like a leader with words pouring from him. "This is our home. We've fought for every inch of it. We can't let someone take it from us or scare us away. We're stronger together." Imagining the old oak restored filled Jake with fresh hope, and he realized they weren't just fighting for a tree, they were standing up for the essence of their town, their belonging, and each other. But as cheers erupted, Jake caught sight of a figure lurking at the edge of the gathering. It was the developer, his presence so cold and aloof as he surveyed the scene, a smug smile crossing his face. The sight stirred a mix of anger and fear in Jake, it brought back the sinister words that had rattled him before. "Stay vigilant," he murmured to Liam and Mrs. Harris, a surge of protection washing over him. "This isn't just about the oak. We need to understand what he is truly capable of." At that moment, he saw at the glint of something metallic in the developer's hand. Something that shouldn't be there at a community festival. Jake moved forward, heart racing, and shouted, "What do you think you're doing?" The crowd turned, eyes widening at the confrontation brewing. "Just assessing some property," the developer began, his tone filled with condescension. "Not on my watch," Jake interrupted, anger threading through his words. Adrenaline coursed through his veins, he could feel the collective gaze of the crowd behind him and invisible support pushing him forward. Before he realized it, he was standing toe-to-toe with the man whose very presence felt threatening. Jake raised his voice again. "You're not welcome here anymore." Suddenly, the air charged with tension, and just as the developer went to respond, the sound of sirens broke through the night, racing toward them. In that moment, Jake felt a surge of hope sprouting among the doubt, but he also sensed the real storm wasn't just the one brewing overhead. He stared at the developer, resolute, knowing he'd have to face whatever came next. What had the developer planned? Why had he returned? The night wasn't over yet, and Jake could feel eyes watching from the shadows. The sirens grew louder, a wailing beacon cutting through the tension like a knife. The developer's smirk faltered for a moment, but his cocky demeanor quickly revived. "You think you can stop progress?" he retorted, his eyes narrowing at Jake. Before Jake could reply, the police arrived, blue and red lights flashing, illuminating the scene. The officer stepped out, a calm presence in the chaos. People began to shout, pointing towards the tree and the man at the center of it all. It felt as if the entirety of the town was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. "All right, what is going on here?" the officer asked, surveying the crowd. Jake took a step forward, fueled by a mixture of fear and resolve. This man he's responsible for damaging the oak tree. We believe he's trying to intimidate us, to keep us from standing up for our community. With a heavy sigh, the officer turned his gaze towards the developer. Is that true? The developer flipped his hair back, dismissing Jake's words with a wave. This is just a minor issue. I was merely conducting business. People get too attached to trees, you know. They don't understand what we need to do to move forward. Liam stepped in. You think this is just about a tree? It's part of our town, our history. You can't just come here and treat us like we're nothing. The tension crackled in the air. Jake could see the townsfolk rallying behind him and Liam, anger simmering, ready to boil over. They were no longer just defending a tree, they were fighting for their home, their way of life. The officer's brow furrowed. Can you prove any of this? That you did this damage intentionally? The developer smiled, too smug for comfort. I don't have to prove anything. Anyone can swing an axe. For a split second, doubt crept into Jake's mind. Would this man really get away with it? Something clenched in his gut, but then he felt the weight of his neighbors standing beside him. They had faced challenges before, and they had come through as one. Wait, Jake said suddenly, his voice steadying, what if we show them what the oak means to us? Let us share our stories. Liam nodded fiercely and glanced at Mrs. Harris. Yes. Everyone has a memory tied to that tree. Let us remind them what's at stake. The urgency sparked something in the crowd. People began to speak out, recounting stories of weddings held under its branches, children climbing it, how it had been a meeting place for generations. Voices merged, echoing the heart of the community, and the emotional weight grew heavier. The officer, listening intently, shifted his gaze again to the developer. You're not just damaging a tree, you're hurting a community. Jake seized the moment. You can't rip out our roots. Show them, everyone. This is our home. As if awakened, the crowd stepped forward, sharing with passion and anger, their voices intertwining, each story threading the fabric of a community that refused to be uprooted. But just as the emotional tide began to turn, the developer's condescending grin reappeared. You think this is the end? This is just the beginning of change, he sneered, a dark promise hidden behind his words. Just then, a figure stepped forward from the shadows, one that made Jake's heart race. It was his father, returning to the town after years of staying away. What kind of change are you planning? He asked, voice steady, a hint of authority lacing through. Jake's eyes widened. His father's return felt like a twist in a story he never saw coming. Would this unexpected appearance help them stand firm against the developer's threat? The air thickened with questions, uncertainty hanging like a shadow. Whatever lay ahead, one thing was clear, this fight was just beginning. What secrets had his father concealed? What secrets did the developer hold that could threaten everything? Jake's heart soared at the sight of his father, but it was quickly overshadowed by the gathering storm. Memories of childhood lessons and unspoken words collided with the present moment, a tidal wave of emotions ready to crash down. Dad, you're back, he murmured, barely processing the implications. His father, Nathan, stepped further into the light, eyes gripping with a fierce resolve. I've heard what's happening here, son. And I won't let this man destroy what we built. The developer, sneering, crossed his arms. And what exactly do you plan to do, old man? You think nostalgia will save you? Times have changed, and I'll make this town thrive like it or not. The crowd stirred with tension, each person holding their breath, pinned between past and future. Jake felt an unexpected fire of determination rise within him. You don't understand anything about this town, Jake shot back. It's not just a project to us, it's our heart. And you're threatening that heart? The developer scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. But before he could speak again, Nathan took Jake's side, lifting his chin defiantly. Heart has built this town. Heart is what will fight for it. Jake, tell them. With the spotlight on him, Jake turned to his neighbors, their faces carrying hope and fear, shadows of doubt visibly creeping in. My father taught me that home isn't just a place, it's the people who fill it with life, laughter, and stories, he began, the strength in his voice growing. You all, here and now, you are those stories. Protecting each other is both our privilege and responsibility. Liam stepped closer, buoyed by Jake's words. When we share our voices, we don't just stand up for a tree. We stand up for each other. For the memories, the laughter, the love embedded in these streets. This is our legacy. If we let him take this away, we let fear win. The crowd erupted with a renewed fervor, chants of unity rising like wildfire. Jake could feel the undercurrent of collective strength propelling them forward. But the developer's self-assured presence loomed over them, a dark cloud threatening to dampen their spirit. Very well, make your speeches, he sneered, but Jake sensed a shift, something within him acknowledged fear in the developer's eyes. But know this: I have resources that will go to any lengths to ensure my plans succeed. Jake stepped forward, every heartbeat resonating with purpose. But we have something you don't: community. You may have power and wealth, but together, we are unstoppable. The police officer, watching silently from the side, finally stepped in, eyes narrowing. You might want to reconsider your approach. If you're damaging community property, it won't just be a fine, it will be trouble. The developer faltered, the confidence melting like ice under a hot sun. You can't intimidate me. Who is going to listen to your little speeches against my money and influence? But the presence of the townsfolk, united and resolute, filled the air with a determination fiercer than any words could convey. We'll show you who is listening. Jake shouted, rallying their voices, igniting spirits once quiescent and tucked away. Just then, Nathan spoke again, his voice strong and steady. I've fought for this town before. And I won't stand idly by again. Remember, the roots that bind us run deeper than you think. You underestimate our resolve. As whispers of recognition washed through the crowd, Jake felt emboldened. They were not just a community, they were a family forged through adversity. The festival atmosphere shifted, laughter began to echo joyously, rising against the dark tension creeping in. The developer's bravado wavered, his composure cracking. The crowd's voices surged, another wave crashing against his conviction. Fueled by the memories shared and the unity forged, they became an unbreakable barrier, the essence of Maplewood unyielding before this external force. Let us take a stand, Jake declared, his heart pounding, almost as if it synced with the thumping music reverberating through the festival grounds. We are the spirit of this town. And together, we won't let anyone take that from us. Around him, cheers erupted, each voice lifting to forge a promise, a declaration of solidarity. The developer's face twisted with contempt, but even he recognized defeat when the tide turned. You think you've won this little battle? Or should I say, this charade? This isn't over. In that moment, it became clear, while change was inevitable, it was the bond they shared that would truly define their strength. Jake locked eyes with his father, the depth of understanding reflected within their shared gaze. As the night sky twinkled overhead, Jake breathed in the energy of the crowd, absorbing every laughter, chant, and heartfelt story exchanged. They were a force. Hope, community, resilience all woven together beneath the amber glow of the festival lights. And just as the last echoes of the developer's threats began to fade, Jake realized the core truth. It was not about prestige or wealth, but about what lay in their hearts, a truth that could never be bulldozed or erased. Hand in hand with Liam and the townsfolk, under the custodianship of his father, they had built a fortress stronger than any developer's blueprint. Now was the moment to stand not just for the oak, but for every dream, every childhood memory wrapped in the fabric of Maplewood. The future awaited them, uncertain but full of potential. They would rise, stronger together. But he'd never forget the lingering danger beneath. The developer's threats and hidden plans still loomed like shadows, a constant reminder that this journey was far from over. Yet, standing with his community, Jake felt hope stir within him like a new dawn, bright and unyielding. This was their fight, and they were ready for whatever came next. Now, if you felt the weight and excitement of this story, You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive tales. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support us in bringing you even more heartwarming stories. We want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep this journey alive together.